Welcome to Load the Box, everybody. It's Super Bowl Monday in North America. Jordan and I both agree that today should be a national holiday, but I don't think lawmakers have got that far yet. So, Jordan, today's a big day, for especially Kansas City Chiefs fans, but especially for us because we want to talk today specifically about how the Minnesota Vikings, yes, the team that did not play in the Super Bowl, can learn from, improve, and things that they should take away from the game yesterday. So, Jordan, I'll just let you jump right in. If you had any immediate sort of thoughts as you're watching the game, anything that you were pounding the table for Kwesi and Kevin and company to do this offseason.
So this Super Bowl was the second year in a row that the folks over at the Purple Daily podcast, they're like theory, their factoid, whatever you want to call it, kind of got disproven. The popular theory and fact that they like to spit out is that no team has ever won a Super Bowl while paying their quarterback more than like 15 or 17% of the cap, or it's some odd number, and that's true unless you consider the fact that Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff were both making a bunch of money like for the Rams last year, and they won the Super Bowl. And then you look at Pat Mahomes, who is making more of that money. I think there's a real discussion to be had there. I don't think tonight is the night to do it, or today is the day to do it. But I think that it immediately makes me, and I thought the same thing last year, especially living in Cincinnati with all of the Bengals fans. It just makes you want that quarterback that, has that dog in him, for lack of a better phrase. Not that Coke didn't have an outstanding year, but, I think that even the most outrageous Coke, fans would acknowledge, like, yeah, he's like a top 10 guy. Like, and I don't think Coke is ever going to contend for like, oh yeah, no, he's top 5. Like, I don't think he'll ever really sniff that territory. I think he has a ceiling. Not that you can't win a championship with him, but that's just where my brain went was, golly, Patrick Mahomes is really, really good at football, isn't he? It's stupid how good he is. Like, truly.
Yeah, it's wild. I mean, he's out there hobbling around and able to pull off another comeback. And, after the game, I was kind of scratching my head, like wondering if he actually deserved the MVP. And that's a whole nother discussion of whether or not he should have gotten or not. But he didn't make any bad plays. He made all the right plays. Something that, you bring up the quarterback position, something that is just a glaring thing for the front office now as they move into sort of, post-Kirk land. Even if it's not this year or next, you have to start thinking about it. And one of the things is you got to get a quarterback who can be a playmaker and extend plays. So regardless of whoever they go get, whether it's a free agent or a draft pick, which I think it needs to be, that person's got to be able to extend plays. Yep. There were multiple times last night where Hurts extended a play, found somebody downfield. Mahomes did the same thing. Again, not that Cousins could never do those things, but it's not the way he's built. We've seen him extend plays, but not to the level that those guys were able to do last night.
I'd argue two of the biggest plays last night, and this is going up on Tuesday. We're recording this on Monday night, just so everyone's aware, so we're going to slip and say last night. But two of the biggest plays, the Eagles' 2-point conversion, which was just straight up QB power. Like, it was straight up just snap the ball, run left, outside tackle. Like, and Jalen Hurts, he runs with so much power. Me and my dad were talking while we were watching the game, and me and him both were like, he looks like he runs as hard as Adrian Peterson ran. Like, he doesn't hit the same top speed, but like, just in terms of like lower body leg power that he generates, it's similar. Like, he's strong, but he made that play with his legs, which was a crucial play in that game. And Pat Mahomes, you could argue the best play he made all night was that, like, what was it, like a 25-yard run where he basically just found a hole up the middle of the defense and just ran. And he looked, and you could tell his ankle hurt him, but even banged up, his mobility was still able to exploit a hole in the defense. I think they will probably in May. I haven't went back. I'm not going to watch the all 22 for the Super Bowl. I'm not that devoted to this show. I'll watch it for Vikings games. I'll try, but no, not for the Super Bowl. But I'm sure that Philadelphia was in man. Mahomes saw a bunch of defenders with their backs to him and said bye. And there he went, and he scampered for 25, 30 yards. So, I agree with you. Watching that game makes me fall in love a little bit more with Max Duggan, which if you haven't watched the quarterback show from last week, I would recommend checking out all of our videos. But we talked about some quarterbacks that are in this draft, and I really do think Max Duggan might have a little bit of that Jalen Hurts. He's not as strong as Jalen Hurts, but he's got that, he's not the fastest, but he's still just a good runner of the football. You know what I mean? He just he finds the right angle to get the most yards out of every play, and I feel like that's what Jalen Hurts is able to do. And that's why that game was, I think that the second, it was a top 5 scoring Super Bowl of all time. I think it ended 2 points short of the all-time total points in a Super Bowl. So it was a really good game, and yeah. I agree with you. Quarterback has to be the position. I want to point this out because this was a hot button topic in my house. It's ridiculous that the Eagles have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Can the Vikings please, we'll do a video about this later this week, can the Vikings please have that level of wide receiver talent to put next to Justin Jefferson?
I wrote basically the same thing down during the game. Just the unbelievable and undeniable importance of getting multiple real threats on the outside. I love Adam Thielen. He's not that anymore though. And it's not fair to have, Devontae Smith and AJ Brown out there where the entire first drive was just Devontae Smith. Later in the game it was AJ Brown, and
he had a huge touchdown catch.
Yeah, the huge touchdown. Even the call that the catch that Smith had called back, that just showed his explosiveness down the field as well. And it has to be a primary focus for the Vikings. Not the primary focus. The defense has to get better. But, even you see yesterday, the Eagles are supposedly have a vaunted defense. They didn't get a stop in the second half because this league is about offense. And So, I totally couldn't agree more with you on the wide receiver front. I would even say, too, and this is sort of just you already have it, so don't lose it sort of thing. Dallas Goedert and Travis Kelce reminded me of the importance of a good, versatile, athletic tight end. And the Vikings have one, and the Vikings cannot let go of that guy.
Yep.
TJ Hawkinson needs to be extended soon and very soon. And it's becoming ever more important. It's not just a wide receivers and running backs league anymore. I would even say it's more so a receivers and tight ends league now. And the Vikings have one in their grasp, and they got to keep them.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up as well. That was something I wrote down was the Vikings either have to go out, and I think we are articulating this point by the two topics that we've talked about tonight. We need a wide receiver too, and maybe we need an upgrade at quarterback would be nice. But if we're not going to get Mahomes, then okay, Cousins is who we're getting. What do you think is easier to find? Patrick Mahomes, who is on pace to become the greatest quarterback of our lives, and I can't believe I might get to live to see the two greatest quarterbacks ever in their primes play. That's incredible for me. Something to tell my kids about. But is it easier to find Mahomes, or is it easier to just find Devonta Smith? And I think the answer every time 100% is just go find Devonta Smith. You have the AJ, but you have Justin Jefferson. You have a dominant number one receiver. Go draft a Zay Flowers. Go draft a Josh Downs. Get even, an Alan Lazard, my personal favorite. Go trade for Jerry Jeudy, man. Send next year's draft picks. Get him in the building. I don't know what Denver's mindset's going to be now that they've got Peyton. They might think that they're all in for the Super Bowl. Good luck in the AFC with Russell Wilson and that train wreck. But, go get Jerry Jeudy and bring him in. Get a true number 2 guy that can just take over games if Green Bay decides they want to triple team Jefferson, and let Jair Alexander hit the goodie on Jefferson while wide receiver 2 TBD, has 15 catches for 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you have to have that versatility. It's more important now than ever.
What's your take on the running back position after yesterday?
It's not that important. I think that I think Mahomes led the Chiefs in rushing yards, and like I might be incorrect in that, but like he had like 45.
Pacheco had 75. So he had a pretty productive game. Yeah,
maybe it was like the first half or something, or the second. I can't remember. He led them at some point. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But I don't. Even if it was Pacheco was drafted in the 7th round. You can't pay Dalvin Cook, man. You have to cut or trade him. We'll play like trade, cut, extend later this week, which is going to be a new one of my favorite games. But like, you can't pay the running back that much. You got to save money somewhere. Running back's where you do it. Go draft Ty Spears in the 5th or 6th round and bring him in and let him work with Ty Chandler and have a committee of just all right guys like. It's a passing league. It really is. I feel bad for running backs. I feel like that used to be, the bell cow, and you had a bell cow, and you won Super Bowls, and you won it with, good eye on football and old school Mike Zimmer, 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And now it really is. It's throw the ball deep, draw pass interferences, draw holdings, have 5 guys that could be number ones on other people's teams, and just have a dominant offense and an okay defense. I want to ask you this, and this is going to be kind of nice, because I don't know if you have the same hatred for Philadelphia that I do, but I despise the city of Philadelphia. Yeah. Well, the Philadelphia Eagles frauds, is it telling that they played like 3 or 4 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL this season, and every time they played them, they hung like 35 points per game on them? Like, was their defense really that good, or did they just kind of beat up on like Cooper Rush and Daniel Jones and Washington quarterback carousel, and unfortunately Kirk Cousins on Monday Night Football? Like, were they fraudulent a little bit, or do you think that they lost the game close enough that they were the second best team in football?
No, they're absolutely not fraudulent. I mean, we talked about this all season long, right? You get who you get, you play who you play, your schedule is what it is. And the Eagles had an easier schedule, down the line. As far as I'm aware, I could be wrong on that.
It was one of the easiest. No, it was one of the easiest in the league.
Yeah, and so they beat who they were supposed to beat, basically. You lose a division game on the road on Monday night against Washington, like that's okay. Lose to Dallas without Jalen Hurts on the road, and they lost to somebody else. Was it New Orleans? Did they lose to New Orleans?
It was Saints. They didn't have Hurts for that game either, I don't think.
Yeah. So really both of those games, all 3 of those games, really, it's like you can understand why you lose that game. And frankly, the rest of their games, they beat up on people. So no, I think the Eagles were a real team. And I mean, if they would have beat the Giants 17-13 and beat the 49ers with their 9th string quarterback, 20-16, it would have been different. But they pounced on those teams, and they made the 49ers, look very human. So I think they're a real team. I mean, they gave Kansas City all they could handle. It required essentially a perfect second half from Mahomes to beat them. So, 100% a real team. Yeah. In my opinion, looking ahead to next year, it might not be the same because of all their free agents and everything. And it would be glorious to see Philadelphia fall off a little bit, but this year they were a real team.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I mean, they did play like everybody's kind of pooping on them now, which I'm all about. Like it's taking everything in me not to pop out of my chair and do a little dance on Philly's grave, but I don't know. I guess I'll admit that they were a very good football team this year. And like you said, it took a perfect second half as well as a big-time Jalen Hurts mistake with that fumble to kind of turn the tides, and also a questionable pass interference call, which I'm not saying anything, but that's back-to-back years that the NFL has not told the officials, hey, keep the flag in your pocket with under 5 minutes to go in the Super Bowl on ticky-tack stuff. There's been back-to-back years where there's holding penalties late on the final drive, and it's kind of questionable, and I don't love it. So Maybe we have a meeting with the officials, but I'm not quite sure. I'll pass it off to you for final thoughts because we're running a little short on time,
Yeah.
and then I'll get us out of here.
Sweet. Yeah, I will. I will. Not respond to your conversation starter about the penalty because we would spend the rest of tonight talking about it. But
Absolutely.
My final thoughts on the game yesterday and how it pertains to the Vikings is just one more thing. It just re-amplified to me the importance of getting a ball stopper and game stopper at defensive tackle. Just watching the Eagles have two of them and realizing that the Vikings haven't had one for quite some time, that it's quite important. And that's nothing against Harrison Phillips or Dalvin Tomlinson, but their level of play, and really any of the Vikings defensive tackles' level of play, does not even come close to measuring what Philadelphia puts on the field or what Chris Jones does for Kansas City. So ultra important. We'll talk about that later this week.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. That's a really good point. And I think everybody in the NFL is thinking that right now. They're thinking, where can we get our Chris Jones? Where can we get our Aaron Donald from last year? Like you said, just a true game wrecker up in the middle. So make sure that you shop unified. Follow the show on Twitter at LTB Vikings. Follow my man Will at Will Bad Lose. Check out the Bad Loser blog. And also check out VikingsTerritory.com, where they are going to have a ton of stuff going up about the draft and about free agency. And this is where Super Bowls are won. I say it every day, say it every week. I'm about to get a face tattoo that says it, so that way I can stop saying it. But it really is. I mean, you win the Super Bowl in the off season. You make trades, you make moves, you spend money, and yeah, it's an exciting time. So tune in tomorrow. We'll have another episode out for you guys, but I will go ahead and leave you with a skull, y'all.